Good day to all. Welcome to Extreme Recap. The main bad guy of the film is 10-year-old Michael Myers from Illinois. He has a challenging life at home and in school, in view of his bashful and strange nature. And furthermore, on the grounds that he's from Illinois, to exacerbate the situation, his mom, Deborah, is quite possibly of the best stripper in the city. This kid is odd because he kills and dissects animals while wearing a clown costume for Halloween. It's kind of weird. His pet mouse has been his most recent victim. We see Michael's mother, Deborah, one day while he is acting strangely, getting ready nourishment for the family. Ronnie, her boyfriend, is shown to be loud, irritable, alcoholic, and aggressive toward her. He is mean to Deborah, his teen daughter Judith, and his infant daughter Boo. Every time, the young girl starts to cry, as soon as Ronnie starts speaking. In the interim, Michael comes ground floor wearing his comedian cover and declares that his pet mouse has passed on. He is comforted by his mother, who promises to buy a new one. Yet, she doesn't get some information about the reason for the rodents. All at once, Ronnie advises the youngster to eliminate his comedian veil. It's pulled off Michael's face when he says no. Soon thereafter at school, Michael experiences a domineering jerk named Wesley Streets and his companion in the washroom. They affront him by making derogatory remarks about his mother's status as a stripper. Naturally, Michael turns into a set and starts shouting "shut up" while combating the harassers alone. When the principal enters the restroom and yells at them, their argument comes to an end. Nonetheless, a furious Michael curses at the head, a rival himself into more prominent issues. Additionally, all three children receive detention quickly. Deborah shows up at the school, however, rather than chastening her child, she screams at the principal, describing him as reckless shockers. The latter teaches her that Michael is a unique kid. He even makes an appointment with child psychologist Dr. Sam Lewis. The doctor informs Deborah that her son displays signs of sociopathology and shows Deborah evidence of Michael's abuse of animals later that evening. It turned out that the principal had discovered a collection of images depicting various animal mutilations and a dead cat in Michael's school bag. These are warning signs, according to Dr. Lummis, that Michael might one day become an editor and that only a disturbed mind could take pleasure in such violent acts. In the interim, Michael runs from school and coincidentally finds the harasser, Wesley, in the forest. He hits him with a large tree branch out of nowhere. Michael unleashes all of his rage and hits Wesley with blow after blow as he falls to the ground. Michael begs Wesley, who is in agony and crying, to stop hurting him. The monstrous Boyle, on the other hand, just gets worse and kills Wesley. That night, Michael gets back and sits tight for his sister, Judith. His mother also calls out to Judith to her brother so that she can take him trick-or-treating. She is also getting ready to leave for work. The latter, on the other hand, has no intention of taking Michael out. Just as their mother leaves Judith, Stephen, their boyfriend, comes over, and the two of them go upstairs. Have a good time. Miss leaves Michael alone and distraught. He then removes his mask and heads out. Be that as it may, he returns inevitably and tracks down his mom's sweetheart, Ronnie, resting on a seat. The devilish child has the perfect opportunity to exact his vengeance at this time. In a snapshot of frenzy, he attaches the man to the seat with conduit tape and polishes him off with a butcher blade. Deceiver, treat Ronnie, you child of a seat. Sometime later, Judith, Bo Steve comes down the stairs to make some sandwiches in the kitchen. Seeing him, Michael takes an aluminum bat and strikes him across the rear of the head. Michael watches Steve for a moment as he continues to hit him before Steve twitches and falls to the floor. Dilly is no more. The movement of Michael's deck reveals that he went upstairs and found his sister, Judith, who is sleeping in her room. He puts on Steve's big, white, pasty Halloween mask instead of his clown mask. Judith turns around at the same time as he runs his fingers along her leg. She gets upset to see Michael in her room and requests to understand what he is doing when he doesn't answer. She slaps him in his butt, loaded up with rage. Michael kills his own sister by stabbing her in the stomach. At the point when his mom eventually gets back from work, she finds him sitting on the entryway patio with his newborn child sister in his arms. She madly asks why he is out on the yard so late. The following day, Michael remains silent while police sirens can be heard in the background. Michael is found guilty of first-degree murder and sentenced to mental institution under Dr. Loomis' supervision. Michael pretends to be innocent, saying he doesn't remember anything, despite the cold murders. Deborah visits him once a week. However, Michael seems to be getting worse over the past few months, and during one session with Dr. Lewis, Michael shows him the new mask he made for himself and continues to lie to the doctors. He guarantees that he wears this veil to monstrous concealment his. At some point, after a long absence, his mother pays him a visit and tries to talk to him. She, on the other hand, tries to cheer Michael up by showing him an old photo of him and his infant sister, but Michael is science and is more isolated than ever, and suggests that he hang out in his room. However, the evil boy continues to avoid speaking. Dr. Lewis takes Michael to a nurse's care after the appointment, while Deborah leaves the sanitarium. When the two of them are alone, Michael becomes aggressive and stabs the nurse to death with a fork. This turns out to be a bad idea. Sooner or later, Deborah and the specialist learn about the occurrence and become stunned. Specifically, Deborah is totally troubled since she has seen what her child is genuinely able to do. When he killed my boyfriend and daughter, that was one thing. In any case, presently the medical caretaker. She later returns home and watches old movies of Michael as a young, innocent child. She sorrowfully thinks back about the days of yore and contemplates whether she was a terrible mother. She probably does the unthinkable in the end. Gracious, unfit to bear the aggravation any longer. The movie then skips forward 15 years. Michael is currently a transcending man who actually remains secured in the asylum. Since his last murder, he has not spoken and spends most of his time making masks. In addition, Loomis has given up on treating him and instead published a bestseller in which he describes Michael as an evil that cannot be cured. One evening, Michael is in the middle of making covers when two janitors show up in his cell and begin having their direction with a female prisoner. Genuine cool. Michael the Rob Zombie shows no emotion and continues to work. Yet, when the janitors are finished, he gets up, snatches one of them and hammers him against the table. After that, Michael moves over to the other one and slams his head against the wall after repeatedly beating him. The guard, Ismail, who has cared for Michael since he was a child, is notified by the commission. Soon after, the male reaches the cell block, where it finds two different bloodied bodies spread out on the floor. He is aware of what has taken place as soon as he sees Michael. He tries to lead the monster back to his cell, but the monster hits him with a television set and punishes him severely. Following the slaughter, Michael escapes from the refuge, prepared to cause more ruin. In the following scene, he shows up at a truck stop and gets in a battle with a driver. He kills the driver by repeatedly hitting him against the wall. The driver's car is then taken by Michael. On Halloween morning, he takes off his own overalls and throws them away. Michael has gotten back to his family home in Haddonfield. Since his mother's death, the location has been abandoned. He gets his favorite butcher knife and mask from there. We are introduced to Laurie Strode, an outstanding Haddonfield College student, in the interim. She is instructed to deliver some papers to the former Myers residence by her real estate agent father one day, which is where Michael lives. It just so happens, her dad is attempting to sell the old Myers home, which local people accept to be spooky. As asked where he drops off the administrative work there and leaves. Michael, however, notices her and becomes curious, which is unfortunate for her. After that, he creeps on her as he follows her to college. Here, we learn that Laurie spends most of her time babysitting a neighboring 10-year-old boy because she is frequently alone. In actuality, her dearest companions, Linda and Annie, are more famous and cherished all through the school. Soon thereafter, Annie persuades Truck to watch her child James, so she and her boyfriend can possess cracking tomfoolery. In contrast, Linda goes to a party with her partner at the former home of Michael Myers, who also happens to be there, sees the couple, creeps on them, and follows them. At the point when Linda's sweetheart goes to alleviate himself, Michael assaults him and kills him on the spot. He then continues and kills Linda as well. Following this, Michael moves on to Laurie's house, where he, too, kills her parents. When she leaves for her keeping an eye on. His rule of fear doesn't stop there as he advances toward Annie's home. Where she is messing around with her bow, Michael ruthlessly polishes off the stepping stool and afterward drives himself onto Annie. Exceptionally cool. Ransack zombie. When James and Lori finally get there after a few hours, they find the awful scene. While her boyfriend's body hangs from the ceiling, Annie is in a complete, undressed state that is shaking profusely. Unexpectedly, Michael shows up at the premises and starts going after Lori. The last option some way or another figures out how to escape, yet he follows her and ambushes her. In the interim, Michael's getaway has been accounted for to Dr. Lewis. He rushes to Haddonfield and begs for the community share. The sheriff immediately calls Lori to inquire about her whereabouts to acknowledge that Michael Myers has returned and is a danger. However, Lori does not answer. Then after doing some digging, he learns the truth in the end. It turned out that Lori was adopted when Deborah did the unthinkable, and that she is Michael's sister. The doctor is aware that Michael is aware of this information, which is why he has been stalking Lori in the hope that she will become the next victim. After that, the doctor ultimately decides whether or not to visit the Myers residence. In the meantime, we discovered that Lori is as yet alive, yet she is being held hostage. After putting down his knife, the psychopath responds with a picture of the two of them as children. Yet, Lori doesn't appear to comprehend or think back about anything, as she was only a baby. While he isn't looking, she figures out how to wound Michael in the neck and escape into the terrace. Nonetheless, it just influences his mulish body. Lori is then sought after by her sociopath sibling, who at last gets her in the unfilled pool. Fortunately, the doctor arrives just in time and repeatedly begs Michael to stop. He evidently shoots the psychopath multiple times in the back when this fails. The doctor and Lori then try to run away, but Michael miraculously gets up, breaks the windshield, and pulls Lori out of the car. He is getting close to killing her. In any case, the specialist begins imploring him to deliver her. Michael gives in and gives Lori to him, which is surprising. However, the following second, he gets the specialist and fiercely tells him by straying at his eyes, as this is all incident. Truck gets the close-by weapon and escapes higher up. She is also followed by the psychopath, who eventually cornered her on a balcony. They both end up falling over the railing after he tackles her through the window. Some time later, on top of Michael, who is unconscious, Lori wakes up. She then shoots at him with the gun she was holding. But he wakes up suddenly and grabs her wrist. Despite this, the truck doesn't back down and fires several more shots at him at the end of the movie, as a truck covered in the psychopath's blood screams in agony. Until this movie makes money at the box office, Michael Myers is dead. After that, he will regain his life. Turn on notifications. Please subscribe for more videos like this, and like the channel to support it. Thank you very much for watching.